All right. Next up on our remote presentation agenda, we have Ada Fowler from California Trout, who's going to talk to us a little bit about restoration in the Shasta River, continuing that theme as well. Ada.
I don't think I have the power.
Are you ready to talk, Ada?
Yeah, I am.
Great. Thank you so much.
Can I share, or am I going to drive, or is
go
that
ahead and
you?
share your screen and take controls.
All righty. Yeah, Allison, that was great. And we're going to try to figure out what of those maps that we can kind of download, and then I'll welcome to share out any of those resources with folks. But I need to figure out kind of what maps I can get from them. Would like to get some of them, so we don't have to like do the same thing again for some of the historical work. But it's interesting in that work really has informed kind of our Parks Creek work, less so the entire Shasta, but yeah, some of the Parks Creek work, it's really interesting. But I won't be talking about much of that right now. I'm going to be giving a kind of an overview of the it's large scale habitat restoration in the mid Shasta and Upper Shasta, and as well as Parks Creek. But I just call it HIPP, so it's the Habitat Improvement Project. We got funding from CDFW, and part of that funding went to SFEI to do that work. And our cooperators have been Nature Conservancy, who owns Parks Creek Ranch, and then Fish Bio, who did a lot of our pre and post monitoring, and Stillwater. Stillwater's our engineering and design, which I'm sharing a bunch of their maps. Ada Fowler, Cal Trout, Senior Project Manager. So the Habitat Improvement Project, as Allison said, it's actually 6 ranches. So it doesn't matter, but it covers about 20 to 26 miles of the Shasta River. And how we started this project was with the safe harbor work. When we got the funding for this work, the safe harbor was still intact, and then it was sued, and now it's kind of suspended. So when we first started the work, we looked at that work and kind of said, well, we're going to start with that work since a lot of work had been put into it, and move from there. So we gleaned all the habitat improvement projects out of each ranch site plan. So each ranch had to do a site plan with the habitat improvement project. And we took, as a starting point, we looked at all those habitat improvement projects and said, okay, we're going to start here and do some conceptual designs using these as a base. Well, those habitat improvement projects in the safe harbor were not really spatially explicit, even though there was a dot on a map. It wasn't necessarily in the right place. The description was really general, like 5 large woody debris structures within 25 meters or something like that. So our kind of goals for this project then were to take these initial habitat improvement projects, and then look for, we did a lot of field work, and we looked for other opportunities to do habitat improvement projects. And then our second goal is, once we had our list of potential projects, we then pick some of the priority areas and complete fully permitted construction ready designs for those areas. We had a TAC, which involved both tribal members and agency folks to help us work through that process. So it was a very collaborative effort. And then we wanted to implement as many as possible. It turns out we could only implement 1, and conduct then some pre and post monitoring. Not a lot of post monitoring because it was right at the end of the project. But hopefully going forward, we will continue to monitor that for effectiveness. And then the last kind of part of this work, which is a little outside the Habitat Improvement Project was really to kind of increase the educational opportunities for school-age kids. With Big Springs Ranch Wildlife Area being owned in CDFWs, that was a really good opportunities to kind of get school-age kids out there and interested in the nature. So I'll talk a little bit that at the end if there's time. So our goal then was to kind of starting point, take the Habitat Improvement Project in the safe harbor and look for other opportunities. But kind of before we did that, we had to define the reaches of our study area. And this is a map of the ranches that all the way down below A12. That's Nicoletti, Rice and Novi, for those of you who know the area. Shasta Big Springs Ranch, the lower Parks Reach of Hole in the Ground Ranch, and Parks Creek Ranch, which is owned by TNC. So the reaches were defined in the safe harbor, so we kind of started with them and then divided them up at hydrologically, geomorphologically. We used some desktop tools such as LiDAR to develop some relative elevation models, which shows how high the land is surrounding the river. It helps show connectedness to the floodplain, basically. And those kind of tools to define our reaches. And then a lot of this was taken from the safe harbor. We identified kind of the limiting factors for coho, because the safe harbor was a coho-based thing. And such as that blue reach at the upstream, north, it's upstream, is really well below where coho or other salmon species or salmon juveniles can actually live out the summer. It's the temperatures there get really too warm. So that area is considered kind of wintering habitat. And it was one of the areas that Evan showed. It's very sinuous, and there's a lot of disconnected oxbows down there. So one of the priorities for that reach would be to kind of reconnect the oxbows, increase habitat diversity by doing that, and also get some escape habitat. So, and then the other ones were more rearing and spawning related things, not necessarily the wintering. So then again, we then selected the highest priority areas that had the greatest benefit for each of those limiting factors. So I'm going to go through this pretty fast. So if you guys have any questions, you're welcome to reach out to me. I can put my email in the chat after I'm done. But this sheet here, and I had it all set up for animation, but then I had some issues, so I took animation out. So the red stuff, don't look at the red stuff now. So anyway, this is one of the conceptual design sheets that Stillwater put together, and they did this for all 26 miles of river. And you can see all these green and orange and blue sites are the habitat improvement sites. Some of them are from the safe harbor plans, but a lot of them were ones we added using the relative elevation model data and from field visits. So the green here is riparian. There's different types. Mainly the green here is riparian. The orange is potential alcove enhancement, and then the blue sites are tributary enhancement. So then what we did was like I said, we selected kind of the highest priorities, what we thought within this reach. So for this work, we selected this area, and that's Hole in the Ground Ranch up there. Sorry, it's this area. I'm pointing to it with my finger, and you probably can't see that. This is Hole in the Ground Ranch up here, and there's a few associated other types of projects there. So we have conceptual designs which for the whole area, and then what we did was we selected these higher priority areas, and we did fully permitted construction ready designs for these sites. So the back one here is the same one I showed you in the last one, and this is just a blow up of our one of the sheets, one of the data sheets from the construction ready designs. And in this one, we're gonna hopefully be doing a number of different things. Again, if you look at the back sheet, you can see this one right here is an alcove enhancement. It's a little kind of spring-fed alcove that isn't quite deep enough, isn't really connected at the lower flow, so doing a little excavation. This is another kind of alcove enhancement work here where we have some large woody debris piles on the opposite banks to kind of raise the water level to create some connection between them. This is probably a 1.5 to 1.5 seep right here. And then there's a couple other potential projects as well with some of this. This is we're enhancing this kind of flow around to create habitat diversity there. And then, oops, sorry about that. And then also enhancing this is hole in the ground here. This is a spring-fed tributary that's very cold, but it's very shallow. It's about a couple inches deep right now. And using some BDAs and such, we could increase the depth and increase the habitat potential for that area. So the second kind of the fully permitted designs that we did were on Big Springs Creek. And again, the back one is our conceptual design sheet. So this is all of Big Springs Creek to TNC's or to the state's property boundary right here. And as you see, all these little boxes here, those are potential projects that we could do on the entire reach. We selected kind of the lower half of it, and this is about right here downstream to kind of focus on. And Big Springs Creek, as you saw from Evans, it doesn't have a lot of trees. It was probably very marshy with some probably low willows and stuff like that, but probably never had a lot of cover. It's really difficult to get trees started there, I know. And the plans that we came up with are these kind of bank attached with native materials like juniper and rocks to force the river more into its plan form. The river is probably unnaturally wider than it would be. Right now, it's probably 100 feet or more wide. It's probably wider due to cattle tramping on the edges because it's very soft edges. So what happens there is it really heats up. It's got very little tree cover, but the instream vegetation does grow up later in the summer, and then it does help shade it. But in May and June, you can get the hottest temperatures in Big Springs Creek in a very short amount of time. The lake, it comes out of the lake about 13 degrees, and before TNC bought it, it was getting up to 20, 25 degrees C, so in less than 2 miles. So the in-stream vegetation helps speed that river a lot, and these kind of structures will kind of increase it'll increase habitat diversity, it'll add sinuosity to the river, and it'll increase flows, and it'll add some deep water habitat behind these structures. So these are junipers with big old rocks. We don't get any floods here because it's a spring-fed system, but this will likely increase the flow and hopefully decrease temperatures. This is kind of an experiment, and again, if it, we're going to do effectiveness monitoring on it if we get funding, and if it works, and if it improves flow, habitat diversity, and temperatures, then we have a whole bunch more river that we could actually do that in or improve the designs. And this is the one that we actually implemented. This is A12 down here. So this is right at the bottom of that map, or right at the top. This south is this way. So this is very low in the the study area. And as I said, there's a lot of sinuosity in the river here, and there's a lot of disconnected oxbows. So we chose this one kind of as a preliminary demonstration, and that was implemented last fall. I have a video, but maybe I'll play it at the end in case I run out of time. I don't know how I'm doing on time, but I don't want to run out of time. So maybe I'll play this. It's a cool video of that Fish Bio did for us before and post construction, and then at different flows. So it's pretty cool. And if I don't get to show it, I can send it out too. This is the same map that I showed before, and as I said, there's a whole bunch of other potential oxbow sites on this area. And so part of the funding that we have right now, we are taking this complement, these 4 oxbows here, to 30% designs. And once that's finished in November, then we'll go for funding. Actually, I've already submitted a proposal to FRGP for funding to take these 30% designs to full designs. And also for the other 2 ones, I forgot to mention that for the Big Springs Creek and Hole in the Ground Creek 100% designs, I submitted a proposal and I got invited back for a full proposal to WCB. For WCB, I'm actually likely going to be on the August board meeting for that. Kind of the last area that we're working is Parks Creek Ranch, and TNC has a history of kind of acquisition, and that includes Nelson Ranch, Shasta Big Springs Ranch, and then they bought Parks Creek Ranch in October 2024. And we are partnering with them to do a lot of the habitat, the in-stream habitat restoration there. We have funding, some initial funding from CDFW through the Karuk to do some preliminary designs for wood loading projects. So I just put this together. This Jay and Taz walked the river here, and they documented a bunch of sites where wood loading would be beneficial. I have a few of those sites shown here, but we're going to take some of these designs to 30%, and I've applied for more funding for this project as well, and hopefully we'll get that in the next year or so. So I know I'm rushing, but sorry about that. And the last thing I want to talk about is the Big Springs Youth and Community Days. CDFW opened access to their property last October, and 400 school kids from Siskiyou County came out and were able to, we had some educational stations set up. We had fish dissection and fish printing. We had a benthic macroinvertebrate table. We had an ecology and a food web table. And then we had nature journaling, and CDFW had their rotary screw trap, and the kids were citizen biologists, and they measured little plastic fish. So everybody had a really great time. I was able to get an extension on this funding. It should have ended in March, but I was able to get an extension, and I'm going to have another Big Springs Youth and Community Days. A lot of you guys have already been involved, and I thank you guys for that. But anybody that hasn't heard about this and wants to be involved, like I said, I'll put my name I'll put my email in the chat, and please contact me. We need volunteers. Last year, the community day got rained out. We had 4 days of youth days, and then we were going to have a community day on that Saturday, but it got blown out basically. But our goal this year is to have about 6 days of kids days if we get enough interest, and then the community day will be on the 24th. And the community day will be we'll have lectures, we'll have fish dissections and fish printing, we'll have some journaling. So there'll be a lot of stuff to do out there, but more information coming on that. And of course, thanks everyone for all the help the tribes were real helpful with the youth days for sure, and at the TAC and all these other folks as well. So do I have time to play that video?
Sure, it's short, right?
It's 2 minutes.
Let's do it.
Okay. I guess I'm gonna stop sharing
Oh, don't.
and close that. And then
You'll probably still have to share.
yeah, I'll share it again.
And we will post it to the KBMP website also.
Can you guys see it then? Everybody
Yes.
see it?
Go
Okay.
ahead.
Sorry about the music. Kind of looks like crap because it was in the winter. So that was September in the winter. And we did take out all the tules there, but they're already regrowing. The tules are very resistant to, they will come back. So I wish I had another video of what it looks like right now.
Great.
But,
Thank you. We probably have time for one question. Any questions? One in the chat.
one in the chat.
Yeah, I could say it, or
Yes.
if Ada wants to read it. Okay. David
I got
Webb
it.
says,
Yeah, I got it. Can you explain how the structures in Big Springs Creek will improve flow, or do you mean something else? It'll increase the flow rate. So like the plants do, Dave, when the plants grow up, they channelize it and speed up the flow. They don't necessarily increase the flow, but they increase the speed so that they're spending less time under the sun when they get to the Shasta River.
Great. Well, Ada, thank you so much. We'll definitely post that video and
Okay.
And thanks again for presenting and the cool restoration work.
Yeah, and I will put for anybody who wants to join us for the kids' days. It's a lot of fun, a lot of work, but I'll put my name I'll put my email in the chat.